Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to 100 Days of Magic. This is day number 26. And today I want to talk about Mom. Yes, and Ivory Tower as well. Now, here, let's look at the tower. So, 1 mana artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain a life for each card in your hand in excess of 4. Now, this is believed to be a really good card. And there's a little bit of a backstory here. This particular card has been restricted. I stopped playing 60 card Magic quite a long time ago. I believe now what would be called vintage. Yes. Because that was just play with what you got. And it used to be the old Type 1. And around the time that this came out, this is 4th edition. Now we're going to get into the Mom story. I was super excited to be playing with this card. I mean, it was so powerful. They restricted you to where you could only have 1 per deck. And living the dream was playing it on turn 1, you know. You played it on turn 1 and you just slow played to gain that incremental life. So, now keep in mind, when I found Magic, I was, I almost said grown. I don't know that I'm ever going to be grown, but I was legally an adult. I was married. I had 2 children. I was married with children, yeah. The oldest one was a girl, and the younger, yeah, oh wow. Anyway, and I was visiting my mother, and she was asking about this game. Now, to put things in perspective, I come from a long line of card players. Now, granted, it's not Magic. My grandmother and her sister, my great aunt, would play a card game called Spite that Aunt Diddy brought down. It's played with 4 poker decks. From what I understand, they say it's a lot like Skip Bo. I don't know because I've never played Skip Bo. But playing Spite is a requirement of the family. You're just born into it. I mean, you just know how to play. And every time I'd go see my grandmother, I mean, she'd get up, she'd answer the door, and then she'd sit down at the kitchen table and start shuffling. That's just how I grew up. She did that with everybody because you would sit around and you would catch up and talk and while playing cards, you know. And of course that imprinted on the next generation of my mother, aunts, and uncles. So Spite's been the family card game. So we come from a lineage of card players. So my mother had seen that, you know, I was playing this new card game and she was curious about it. So I explained the rules to her, and I showed her the cards, you know, a card of each type, and what are we talking? Is this 96? We're doing this 95, 96, somewhere thereabouts. I remember it very, very vividly because this was a pivotal moment in Brian's Magic history. We were playing on the center couch cushion, you know, because why not? So I had a deck, and I shuffled it up, and I just split the deck in half. You know, I give half to her and half to me, and we drew our opening hands, and I just started laughing. I had an Ivory Tower in my opening hand. And I had won the coin toss, so I went first, and I played my land in my Ivory Tower. And I said, Mom, I'm sorry. And she says, for what? And she picks up the card and she reads it, and she says, well, this card's useless. All it does is gain you life. And I said, yeah, Mom, but see, the thing about it is this is such a powerful card. It's restricted. You can only have 1 per deck. And she picks it up, and she reads it again, and she says, but at what life do you win? And I opened my mouth and words did not come out. That was a huge level up moment for me. Now, keep in mind, at the time, Magic was fairly young. It had only been out a couple of years, 3 years. And there is a thing that a lot of players fall into when they are new to the game, and life gain. And now, in our particular format, EDH, life gain is not as big of a thing because we have this insurance policy called commander damage, and that prevents insane life gain decks, which I have built plenty. Y'all know that. But in normal 60 card Magic, if I start at 20 and I go up, then it's harder for you to win. But now, because she looked at it and she says, I don't understand why this is good. It doesn't help you win the game. All it does is help you not lose as fast. And I mean, this was from a player. I'm not even going to call her a player because she only played a handful of times. But this was from a person who had never played the game. It was during the first game, the first turn of the first game she'd ever played. This is how deep of a strategy mind she had. And I was blown away at what life do you win. Now, yeah, there are corner cases everywhere. And in EDH, we love those because we build decks around them. But the Ivory Tower lost a little bit of its shininess to me that day. I started focusing on not dying less and eliminating my opponent more. Now, Ivory Tower and Black Vice were in the same set. Now, originally not, but the Black Vice was in ABUR, and Ivory Tower came out in Antiquities, and Ivory Tower was thrown in at Revise, so to give the parity of the Tower and the Vice. So, even though there's no close to the parity, they just were seen as a pair. That's when my, fascination with Black Vice in a 60-card format happened. But, yeah, that's my mother's philosophy about Ivory Tower. It was like I said, a beautiful level up moment for me, and I'll never forget that phrase as long as I live. Just the look of sheer confusion on her face, because she was sure that she had misunderstood something, and it was. I'm not sure to this day if it was a genuine question or if it was rhetorical, meant to provoke thought. I don't know. I talked to her about it like day before yesterday, and as much as this particular conversation resonated with me, evidently, a lot's happened. That was 23 years ago now. She does not remember this conversation. But anyway, that's what I have got for today. I didn't go play cards last night. I worked on the spreadsheet. I have got a spreadsheet actually done of all legendary creatures that can be commanders. Now, Kamigawa had a whole lot of legendary creatures that cannot be commanders because they start off as regular creatures. And then something happens and they become legends. Well, those are not legal for commanders because they, aren't legendary creatures to begin with. Plus, you've got the walker commanders. And now, I believe the number is 790, 791. That number is going to be skewed a little bit by partner commanders. Now, some of the partners I've done solo, and some of the partners I have done as partners. So, what I am accounting for there is if I use two partners for one deck, I've used them. I cross them off the list. And on the spreadsheet, when it come to locked partners like Pier and Toothy, Okana's Ender Split, I just listed them as one general because let's face it, it's one general on two cards. I mean, you can't pair them with other pairs. And when we busted packs, if you got one, you got the other. So it's more or less a commander split card with, delayed entwine or whatever. I don't know. Fuse. But, so I managed to get the spreadsheet done. I went through all the decks. I got all of the decks that I have built, highlighted, marked off. And then I started going through all of the commanders that I currently own. The goal here is, there's been a recurring question to pop up now and again. Do you have all the legends? And I know I don't. I've got a bunch. But I know I don't have every single legend. There's going to be a problem with Portal 3 Kingdoms. Yeah. Kamigawa, there is a lot. There's a whole lot of legends there, but they're fairly plentiful, and not a lot of them are expensive. I mean, I guess expensive is a relative term, but a lot of the expensive ones I already have that I've had since then, and they were chaff then, and we as EDH players have made them something. See, that's what I call the commander tax right there. When you see this card and it's only good in our format, and you look it up and you're like, that's $20? That's right. That's because of the commander tax. But I'm going through all of those now because I have the unused general binder here, and I can go through then and see which commanders I don't have. Of course, once I get through checking off the unused general binder, I will obviously look through the set binders to see any that I am missing, and I will compile a list of legends that I don't have. A lot of people have asked me for, a lot of y'all have asked me for a list of cards that I need, wanting to help out with the cause. And I got to tell you, the number one person who's asked me this time and time again is my wife. She has told me, oh my God, I bet 30 or 40 times, I need a list. I need a list of cards you need. And I was telling her last night that I was probably going to do this topic this morning, and or what I was doing. Now, granted, this is OCD on another level. I grant you that, but it kind of has to be for a project this large. And explained to her what I was doing, and she said, I need a list. Apparently, she ordered me a thing for Christmas that had to be specially made, and it never was. She did get her money back. It was from, I don't know, overseas, so I'm not sure. I don't know what it was or where it was coming from. Kind of the idea. And so, in her mind, she's like, that was my coup de grace. She said, I'm getting you something. And so, last night, she's like, what do you need? And I'm like, well, that's the whole point of me doing this, is because I don't know. And she goes, no, seriously, what do you need? So I spit out, I was like, Angus McKenzie. I'm not sure if y'all know my particular story with Angus McKenzie, but I don't price check cards a lot. I am rambling here. We're at 14 minutes. I don't price check cards a lot. I checked the price of Angus McKenzie once, and it was around $30. And I was like, wow, I cannot believe that dang card is $30. And then a couple years later, I'm over at a buddy's house. We're playing EDH, and he's got a Angus McKenzie deck built. But he's got like a planes drawn up as Angus McKenzie. And I look at him and I'm like, dude, those aren't that expensive. It's not but like $30 because he had some, $40, $50 cards on the table. So He goes, "What are you talking about?" And he pulls it up, and it's $80. I was like, "Oh my God, it's $80." So in my mind, it stayed $80 until like, what was it, a month or two ago, and I watch the Heroes and Legends Market Watch every week, and it popped up on there for, I don't know, a couple $100 or more, and I was just blown my mind, and I was like, well, I should have bought it when it was 30, or even then I should have bought it when it was 80, because I knew I would want it. Now, granted, way back then, this was a decade ago, maybe more. Maybe I didn't know that I was going to have it, because a decade ago I didn't know that I was going to become this obsessed and have to build every single commander ever. But anyway, I appreciate y'all watching. I'm rambling again. Y'all let me know what you think, but I think right now I've bored y'all long enough with this one particular image. I've got to get to work. We will see y'all tomorrow.